So what is your favorite thing to do while you're riding?
Oh,
Or driving?
yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the same, right? I would be caught out and I would be not honest and true to my own words earlier if I said, oh, it's different. Riding and driving is totally different. It's not totally different. It's the same thing. Yeah, my favorite thing to do when I'm riding is to work on suppleness. That's my favorite thing to do. Supple. I want my horse up and engaged and carrying himself and totally feels like butter in my hands.
Which discipline would you choose to do if you knew that you were going to be successful?
Can I say everything? I would do literally everything. But I guess if I knew I was going to be successful, I would do dressage. If I knew I was going to be successful and if I could remember the tests, which is part of being successful, I would do dressage for sure.
So what would you do if you were successful or not?
Driving. Yeah. And that's changed in the last few years, right? But definitely right now driving. If I never competed, if I never did anything that was me outside of this farm and my own enjoyment, I would drive.
So you've had your own losses and your own struggles with horses in between having, struggled with brain injuries while we've been here. And so what did that look like for you? So maybe we'll start by explaining that there was a legal battle that spanned
Shanice can talk about, but
many years, and there was, as a result of that legal battle, after many years of lawyers and back and forth, and let's be clear, we were spending all of our extra dollars on legal fees for the better part of 6 years. It was really hard for the entire family because as much as you're saying, we're here, we're building a facility and we'd really like to be able to purchase some nice horses and to be able to do some stuff for ourselves in the industry. Oh wait, all of our extra dollars are going to paying legal bills, and the fact that resulted in a gag order. So you are not really legally able to talk too much about that.
No, but I think that it brings up a couple of really good points when you're talking about how riding works, how the industry works. It took me a long time to come to terms with what happened, and in the end, as much as I had battled for 5 years in order to retain a horse that had been taken from me, one that I felt was going to be a flagship horse for our place. I mean, you get one of those in a lifetime, and to have lost that horse in the way that I lost him,
and knowing that he turned out to be a flagship horse for the person who took him.
And I guess the most succinct way to go about talking about it is to say, no matter how much you think your contract is solid, no matter how much you think that you've dotted your I's and you've crossed your T's, contracts can be torn up, contracts can be disputed, and if you don't own your horse lock, stock, and barrel, man, I hope that the person who does own it is kind and generous. I saw potential in that horse. I managed to make an agreement with the owner in which I could, lease to own, and it went south really fast, and that was really hard for me.
And I think the important thing there is that it was a pony, and the owner at the time had disregarded it. It
was not the right height, it was too tall, it wasn't going to do the job, didn't really think it was suited, was going a different direction with different horses and different stallions, and so that one literally sat in a garden. When I worked with that horse, and let's be clear, I loved that horse. I mean, the loss of that horse, if you look at the loss of that horse, you could probably measure it by the pounds I lost. When I put on the pants that I wore back then and I go, wow, these do not fit at all. I think I dropped probably 20 pounds, 25 pounds, and went into a really deep depression. which, you know, was difficult to carry on, was difficult to go out every day and slap a smile on your face and say, hey, we're gonna, you know, keep going, and your rides are important, and I can't ride in my ring, and the horse I just absolutely loved beyond all compare has been taken away on false pretenses. Had I known, never let your horse off your property, I would be in a very different place right now. But as my lawyer stated, if anybody asks, you won that battle. You chose to let that horse go after 5 years, and I did. In the end, I said, I'm done fighting. There are other horses and there are other toys and other sandboxes. This industry is so crazy because there's a horse that's worth $2,500 and a horse that's worth $25,000 and a horse that's worth $250,000, and to a layman, they all look the same. I don't understand. I mean, it's really tough to get somebody to understand who is not in the industry just how valuable it is to find a horse and to know that it's going to win everything every time it goes out without question. And then when it went on to do exactly that, I mean, I just said, you know, like, there's a part of me that's still so bitter about that, because I know that I was right. I know that it was worth the money I thought it was worth. And when you take a risk and you say, this is what I'm going to do, and it's really hard to see that ripped away, and to fight as hard as I did in order to prevent that from happening, and to still not be able to kind of just hang on to it. It was really, really tough. And, you know, to explain to somebody who's not a horse person the loss that you feel, whether they're in the ground, that's one thing. But to have them out competing and doing everything that you thought that they would be able to achieve, and to not be able to go over, and to not be able to engage, and that really was very, very difficult.
Have to walk away from all of that work and all of that effort and time and money, and say, I can't even use that to my own benefit at all. I can't even stand at a ringside and say, yeah, I made that horse. Yeah. You can't even do that. Yeah.
There's no
our entire industry relies on being able to do that.
Yeah, what you produce is your best advertising, whether it's riders, whether it's horses, facilities. What you produce is, it's like being an artist. You know, there's one of those paintings, it's an original. If it burns up, that's it. They, like, you know, and when your hands are tied, as they were in that situation, it became really tough to put a positive attitude on pretty much anything. You know, you get bitter and you say, I have tried and tried and tried, and this is going to be difficult to get through. I mean, you know, we did, and we've come out the other side of that, but you know, we've suffered a lot of loss, and I think that is really hard in the horse industry, to suffer the loss of 4 horses in such a short amount of time, and to still be viable within the industry. Mm-hmm. And for that, I'm glad that I built the facility that I built, because if I had been relying strictly on those horses, if I had been in a place that I rented, or a place that couldn't support me in any other way, I would have been in big trouble.
What was your biggest learning moment? What is the main takeaway from being here?
Without your own personal success, it is very hard to convince other people that what you offer is worthwhile, that people need to be with the next best. It's been my experience anyways. I mean, not everybody, and I've had a core group of clients who have stayed with me and who have been extremely supportive. And I think that the takeaway has been that loss is very prevalent in the industry, whether it's loss of clients, loss of horses, you know, and it can really make or break you. That there's a lot of work and effort in terms of saying that a coach, a rider is worthy. And I think that I've always basically understood from the outset that you're not you're not about show ring success. It's about knowledge and about understanding, and that is, I think, hard for people to understand. And I think that from a loss of clients, that you work hard and for reasons out of your control a little bit, or just people stay for 7 years. If you've got a client that stays for more than 7 years, wow, you're doing something fantastic. Nothing lasts forever, and that if you're going to capitalize, I think that you have to be selfish. I think that you have to say, this is for me, and that it's important that I succeed. And I think that people, for the large part, respect people who are personally successful and don't necessarily respect the people that have given of themselves completely for your benefit. And it's easy and fun to move to the next thing, the next best thing. And I think that sometimes people forget that the time that you spend working with them, the time that you spend, sleepless nights trying to figure out a problem that they're having, I think that they really don't understand often how committed a coach has to be,
Mm-hmm.
how dedicated a coach has to be on your behalf. And I think that it's really easy to just say, okay, well, yay, I've learned what I need to know, and that's boring. I don't like foundation work. I don't like fundamentals, so I'm going to go and do this other thing. And the disappointment is that you do have something very valuable to offer, and sometimes I think that people too late realize that, and that your success can be in your knowledge and in your ability to give to people. But I've understood now that selfish is probably in this industry the mainstay.
Right.
To be honest, here's my thing that you can edit in. It's hard to be honest. Like if I'm trying to actually be honest here. I'm trying to say this is a lesson that I've learned. This is a hard lesson. And for anybody out there who's saying, I want to coach and I want to train and I want horses as part of my life, it's a tough go. It's a tough battle. I didn't believe the people who said to me, if you get a place, you're never going to ride again. That can't possibly be. But I have had the pleasure of seeing young people be successful with my help, and that has been wonderful. I mean, wonderful for me in a time when I wasn't able to do things myself. It was really gratifying to be able to help others to achieve success. That was really wonderful. But I think that it's been tough to admit that there are things that the not so happy side of this industry.
Do you have like a biggest surprise, like a positive surprise from being here?
Oh yeah. That the shows wasn't a surprise that the shows were successful. I knew the shows were going to be successful. I knew that we had everything nailed down, and we worked really hard to make sure, because you only get one chance at it. You get one kick at those shows. But I think the biggest surprise was how much fun they were. Just absolute fun. Tough the day before, but as years progressed, they just got to be, I mean, like in your interview, man, that was just a big party.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. People coming and people going, and having everybody. I think that probably the biggest surprise, having been to so many horse shows other than our own, the biggest surprise was that people were so gracious, so unbelievably gracious. They were polite, and they were helpful, and they cleaned up their poop and put it in my recycling bin and killed the recycling. But still, it was like the fact that they were so adamant about the fact that they needed to keep this place looking as good when they left as when they came. I was like blown away by that. I thought that was so amazing, and that people embraced us in this community so openly and so generously, I think was absolutely amazing.
So what's one thing that people wouldn't know or suspect about you?
I think they do. I sculpt and I paint and I'm good. That my heart breaks easily, and that I am actually as dedicated to them as I say I am. And that when I lose a client, it breaks my heart completely and totally. And that that this is a job that I take really seriously, and I'm very proud of what I do, and that I'm super sensitive. People think, oh, she's so hardcore and she's so whatever, and I'm actually a very sensitive person, and which is why I maintain I understand horses well. A client once asked me, what would you do? What like, you don't do anything. You stand in the middle and you help everybody do everything that they want to do. Why don't you do anything? And aside from the back injuries and the head injuries and all the rest of it, at that stage of the game, I said to her, it's because I honestly can't choose. I want to do everything, and it's to experience everything is absolutely amazing, but it's hard to be successful in just one area. And at that point, I couldn't pick just one thing. So it was like, I'm going to continue to help other people who really know where they want to be. So that would be the one thing that I would say made a difference. And now I think at the stage I'm at now, I think I do know what I want to do. So it's taken me a few years, but I feel like I know what I want to do, and I've put myself on a path where what I'm going to do is actually me doing it. And I think that that's huge. Anytime I can say, I've ordered the carriage. I hope the horse can pull it. This is me putting the cart before the horse. So yeah, that would be the only thing that I would say, is that I'm hopeful looking forward that I may actually now be able to embark on my own adventures and have that success that I think has passed me by personally.
All right.